Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you special coverage of Tropical Storm Melissa and what is to be released from the National Hurricane Center and the 11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time Advisory. As you can see here, we do have the 11 p.m. advisory in from the National Hurricane Center. So all this is going to be fresh to all of us. I have not seen any of the graphics or anything because it was released at 42 after, and I started the live stream here at 43. So I haven't had a chance to take a look at any of it. So we're all going to go through it together. Just a quick look at the satellite. We've got some very, very cold cloud tops. And the center of circulation, or at least the surface low, is now starting to get quite close to a lot of this shower and thunderstorm activity here with these very, very cold cloud tops. So we may start to see a little bit of lowering of the central pressure. We'll have to see exactly what we've got, and that's exactly what we have. Let's see. Well, we were 1,000 at the 8, and nope, we had a slight rise. Okay, that'll be that's at least good to report for now. Location currently at 16.2 north, 75.5 west, about 150 miles southeast of Kingston, Jamaica, about 270 miles southwest of Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Maximum sustained winds remain at 75, or I'm reading it wrong. I said 75. It's 45 miles an hour or 75 kilometers an hour. Movement is north at 3 miles an hour with a minimum central pressure of 1,001 millibars. If I sound a little flustered here, I've been kind of going through some of the model data, and I'm going to show y'all some things. Welcome to 2025. Man, I'm still kind of left speechless, and by the time that I get done with this, I'm going to show you some of the wildest things that you may have ever seen when it comes to model data, and I'm just left over here scratching my head. Right now, we did not have any changes with our watches or warnings. Currently, we have a hurricane watch in effect for both the southwestern peninsula of Haiti from the border with the Dominican Republic to the Port-au-Prince and Jamaica. We also have a tropical storm warning in effect for the same locations. The most important part of a public advisory issued by the National Hurricane Center is this section with the hazards affecting land. You can look at the top, and even if you have a watch or a warning issued, it does not cover all of the hazards and the potential impacts. Wind, obviously, with having a developing hurricane out here with a watch, we would expect that hurricane conditions are possible within the watch area. It's going to be very likely that we see hurricane warnings here in the near future. Obviously, we're going to have wind impacts with our tropical storm warnings. Rainfall. Melissa is expected to bring 8 to 14 inches of rain to the southern Dominican Republic, southern Haiti, and eastern Jamaica through Sunday, with locally higher amounts possible. Additional heavy rainfall is likely beyond Sunday. However, uncertainty in Melissa's track and forward speed reduces confidence in exact totals. Significant, life-threatening flash flooding and numerous landslides are expected in the southern Dominican Republic and eastern Jamaica, with catastrophic flash flooding and landslides anticipated in southern Haiti. Across the northern Dominican Republic, northern Haiti, and western Jamaica. 2 to 4 inches of rain are expected through Sunday. Flash and urban flooding will be possible through Sunday. Flooding impacts may increase across western Jamaica next week. Storm surge. Minor coastal flooding is likely along the coast of Jamaica by late Friday into Saturday into areas of onshore winds as tropical storm conditions begin to reach the area. However, there is a potential risk of a more significant storm surge, especially along the south coast of Jamaica early next week. Due to Melissa's slow motion and large forecast uncertainty, it is still too soon to know exactly how high the storm surge could reach. And, folks, just please, with the surf, stay out of the water. It's going to be crazy out there, and it's only going to get worse. Let's refresh this and get our new forecast cone. Oh, no. All right, the National Hurricane Center forecast cone still has this going almost just way too close to Jamaica, and just by looking at this, this is very close to the Google DeepMind ensemble mean. Just looking at this, oh no. This is unfolding to be a potentially extraordinarily catastrophic situation for the island of Jamaica. And folks over here in the Caymans, Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac, you folks aren't out of the woods by any means either. All right, let's take a look at our latest spaghetti plots. As you can see here, the GFS has finally come off of moving it into Hispaniola, finally, but does bring it up between Jamaica and Haiti and then moving it out. And I'm going to show y'all something with halves that is like, it is actually, to me, it is quite humorous what halves does. And it's not humorous in any other way than, there's no way that occurs. And that's kind of the humorous point to me. If that occurs, I'm done. I'm done. I promise I'm done. And that would be absolutely amazing. But we'll take a look at that here in just a moment. All right, let's go ahead and read the forecaster's discussion here. Melissa has gotten a little better organized this evening, with the low-level center reforming a little to the north, close to a burst of deep convection. However, tail Doppler radar data from a NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft suggests that the storm is still not vertically aligned, and the circulation at 700 and 500 millibar is still poorly defined. The central pressure remains near 1001 millibars, so the initial intensity will be held at 40 knots. However, the aircraft wind data suggests this could be a little generous. The initial motion is now slowly northward, 355 degrees at 3 knots. Melissa remains trapped in an area of weak steering currents between mid-level ridges to the southeast and northwest. During the next couple of days, the ridge to the northwest is forecast to build eastward to the north of Melissa in the wake of a mid-latitude shortwave trough currently moving eastward through the Bahamas. This evolution would cause Melissa to move slowly northward for the next 24 hours or so, followed by a westerly turn at that continued slow forward speed. The GFS and the HAVS regional hurricane models show a more initial eastward motion, possibly due to center reformation, and due to this, they forecast a track east of Jamaica, followed by an eventual northward motion towards eastern Cuba. The Euro, Canadian, UK Met, and the HFIP corrected consensus, and Google DeepMind forecast a more westerly track that passes south of Jamaica, followed by a northward turn near or west of the western end of the island, near the end of the forecast period. The HWRF, HMON, and the other consensus models are in between these and forecast the center to cross Jamaica. The new forecast continues to follow the more westerly solution and is little changed from the previous forecast. It should be noted that regardless of the exact track, the center of Melissa is likely to pass dangerously close to Jamaica during the next few days, and it could also come close to the southwestern peninsula of Haiti. Melissa is still feeling the effects of about 15 knots of westerly shear, and between this and the disorganized structure, only slow strengthening is expected during the next 24 hours. After that time, a combination of more favorable upper level winds and very warm sea surface temperatures should allow considerable strengthening once the cyclone gets better organized. The intensity guidance remains in good agreement on the possibility of rapid intensification as the center nears Jamaica, and the new intensity forecast is unchanged from the previous forecast. In addition, the tropical cyclone is expected to grow significantly in size and will likely be a large and dangerous hurricane towards the end of the forecast period. So, and again, we've got it here from the National Hurricane Center, 145 miles an hour on its maximum intensity, and that's a mid-grade category 4 with intensities that and some modeling that show that that could be a conservative wind speed. Our reconnaissance mission, as you could see here earlier, we had the low pressure down here. It was closer to 15.5. Then it jumped northward, getting in and around 16. Now, what we have with the National Hurricane Center and the public advisory, we are currently 16.2. So whatever latitude that this can gain would then potentially put Jamaica into play. Now, we are going to check in with our wind speeds and the large and powerful storm. Everybody's going to see United States interest here. 11%, 10% chance of seeing a tropical storm force winds for Marathon and Key West, respectively. Right now, again, it's going to be an extremely large storm, so we could see some very fringe effects with the winds associated with this. So it's not necessarily a zero chance, but it is highly unlikely. And again, you look at Grand Bahama getting over to Andros Island, maybe 19%. A lot of this has to do with the uncertainty of how far west it goes, and then on its turn back to the northeast and its overall size. We may see a little bit of peripheral impacts, but if you look here at like Havana, Cuba, 9%. So again, it's only these really exposed areas. Unfortunately for our friends out here in Jamaica, 83% for Montego Bay, tropical storm force winds, 49% 50-knot winds here in Montego Bay, and our hurricane force winds are now up to 28%. We also have for Kingston, 93% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, 63% chance of seeing those 50-knot or 58-mile-an-hour winds, 38% chance of seeing those hurricane force winds. These percentages have continued to rise from advisory to advisory. Grand Cayman, you are now up to a 47% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, 24% chance of seeing those 50 knot or 58 mile an hour winds, and a 14% chance of seeing our hurricane force winds. So it is certainly beginning to looking quite dangerous, folks. Like this is this isn't looking good at all. Let's see what we've got for our rainfall forecast. We did not get any update or change from this. As we could see, areas here, especially along the southern coast of Hispaniola and parts of Jamaica, for a 3-day rainfall forecast. And in some areas here on the Tiburon Peninsula, here of southwestern Haiti, looking at upwards of 12 to 16 inches or 300 to 400 millimeters of rain with locally higher amounts. And isolated 12 inches plus out here or higher than 300 millimeters on the eastern coast of Jamaica. And now, folks, this is just rainfall over the next 3 days. The forecast period, we're going to see the rainfall amounts increase dramatically over as we get to the end of this 3-day rainfall forecast. The storm will still be in the vicinity of this area and dumping even more rain. So this is a very, very long in duration event. Some of our rainfall totals, I've got here the 18Z Euro on the left and the 18Z GFS on the right. The GFS still has some eastwardly biases, but not as bad as what it had earlier. And if we run this out, and we're going to take this out all the way to day 6, if the storm itself, as you could see with the GFS, it still has a rain eastern bias for sure. Does not really allow it to get very close to Jamaica at all. And on the other hand, the Euro and a few of the other models are showing that Jamaica gets absolutely stomped with a rainfall totals that would be 14, 16, 20, 24 inches. There would be areas in Jamaica, if the Euro verifies, that we would be measuring this in feet, not inches. And as you could see, this is a 6-day forecast running out, and as this were to pull northward into eastern portions of Cuba, a great amount of rain would also fall. Both of these areas, really all of this area that we see some of these high rainfall totals associated with land, also are not flat. They are mountainous territory and mountainous terrain that will be considerable flooding, a very, very large risk to life and property, extraordinarily impactful. And we're just talking about the slow movement, the slow duration, and the rain. That's all this graphic represents. We are not looking at a storm surge or anything like that, and we don't necessarily have full understanding of that threat yet. We won't without the kind of getting the track to show itself. And in areas of onshore winds, there will be considerable storm surge. We don't see any of the overall wind speeds. This has all of the potential to be a potential humanitarian crisis, much less just a catastrophic impact, especially if this behaves that way here with Jamaica. I couldn't even imagine something of that potential intensity just slowly grinding by. It kind of reminds me of Dorian. Even it, I'm left speechless to some of the stuff that I've seen here tonight. Key messages, and this is also the first time that I've ever seen the National Hurricane Center issue key messages and have they did it earlier, but having the specific countries categorized and telling them, like, okay, this is for you, this is for you, this is for you. And I really, really like this approach. I really do. And I appreciate them for, starting this particular format with Melissa, because it is very helpful to folks out there. Key message number one for Jamaica. Due to Melissa's slow motion, the risk of a prolonged multi-day period of potentially damaging winds, heavy rainfall resulting in life-threatening flash flooding and numerous landslides, and storm surge continues to increase for Jamaica. Preparations to protect life and property should be rushed to completion, since strong winds and flooding rains could begin in Jamaica by Saturday. Key message number two for Haiti. Heavy rainfall will result in catastrophic flash flooding and landslides across southwestern Haiti by this weekend into early next week. Extensive damage to roads and building is expected, potentially isolating communities for an extended period of time. This is a life-threatening situation, and immediate preparations to protect life and property should be taken. Strong winds could also potentially last for a day or more over the Tiburon Peninsula of Haiti. And here we're talking about Jamaica and Haiti looking at catastrophic damage, extensive damage to roads, buildings. Like this, I'm telling you, folks, we'll never see a Melissa again. I said that days ago. I just had that funny feeling about this, and it is starting to materialize that way. And Melissa's going to get retired. We can almost guarantee that. Number three, remainder of Hispaniola and eastern Cuba. Heavy rainfall could also produce significant life-threatening flash flooding and numerous landslides in southern Dominican Republic. Interests in Cuba should monitor the progress of Melissa, since the risk of heavy rainfall, damaging winds, and storm surge appears to be increasing. This is why we monitor our all of our wind speed probabilities. When we get into stuff like this, that's the best way to do it, because you look at this particular graphic and it's just a bunch of numbers. But if you monitor this graphic as from advisory to advisory, in the primary advisories, they update this, and you can see whether your numbers are increasing or decreasing. If they continue to increase, your threat is obviously increasing with this. So, and all of this is probability out of 100. At a 93% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds to Kingston, out of 100%. So, and that's just how you tell whether your threat is increasing or decreasing. And some of these areas here are just now coming into the day 5 zone of the forecast itself. But also, please keep in mind that day 5 is the storm. We've got a 19% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds in Andros Island. The storm in 5 days is not, I mean, it still would be well outside of Andros Island if it were to do that. But that's why it is the probability. We will see these numbers either uh, rise or fall as we get subsequent advisories. So it's going to be a very interesting scenario as to exactly how this all turns out. Looking at the University of Wisconsin, trying to get a little bit of data here. It's a lot of old data, 45 knots on the advanced Dorvag technique with AI assistance, 43 knots. So again, we're not looking at that significant wind speed at this time. The 18Z Euro ensembles, as we can see here, there is a great amount of uncertainty still within the euro. It has no idea really what it wants to do. So, therefore, everybody here in this part of the Caribbean, getting into even including folks in the Caymans as well, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. Everybody just needs to keep a close watch on this, if you would please. Uh, when we're dealing with systems like this, depending on its actions, it's very difficult to figure out exactly what it's going to do later on until you get the first part of the solution. We need to figure out exactly how far north this thing comes. That's going to be critical in the next step. And then, does it make any southern motion, southwestern motion, in response to the ridge that would be building to the north before that erodes and then pulls off to the north and to the northeast eventually? All right, the 18Z GEFS ensembles, as we can see here, again, a great deal of uncertainty. But anything that slips west of Jamaica, as you can see there, brings in a great deal of intensity below 950 millibars. Comparing that to the Euro AI, this is the 18Z. Again, as you can see here, kind of drifting around, figuring out exactly what it's going to do, and then responding to that approaching trough. So, now I'm going to click on the Google DeepMind. And the Google DeepMind has been kind of the best performing one all year long, and has done extraordinarily well with predicting the intensity of some of the storms and in quite a few of the basins. Now, what I'm about ready to show you is probably going to be a little scary. So, this is the 18Z Google DeepMind. And I have the intensity distribution of the ensembles out here. As you can see, we have an extreme amount of our purple and pink colors. Those represent at least a category 4. And in many of the cases, a category 5. Now, as we can see here, the Google DeepMind really, there's so many of them that end up turning this into an absolute monster that it is quite scary. When I saw this earlier this evening, my heart just dropped because this would be unbelievably catastrophic for some folks. I'm wondering if the initialization point, as you could see here, though, is a little further south than what we have with the storm. Remember, the National Hurricane Center's discussion did mention that the center reformation with a slight jump, and we did go from 15.5 there at the 5 to jumping to over 16. So we know that the model is off by a little bit and the storm is actually further to the north than what it is currently forecasted in this particular run. That being said, the overall intensity of this and the ensemble mean gets this into a level of just craziness, because the ensemble mean, if I can get it again, come on, there we go, has it to 125 knots at a category 4, which is basically 150 miles an hour. 145, 150, getting in that range. And as you can see, it skirts just to the west of Jamaica, putting that front right quadrant right into the island of Jamaica. Well, even if we look at any of the ensemble members, they are extraordinarily intense. Now, land interaction with Jamaica would change the opportunities for continued intensification due to the fact that it loses its fuel source of the warm waters of the Caribbean. If we run this forward and we look at the intensity distribution out here on the right hand side of the screen, when we get to about Saturday morning, we're looking at a 50-50 chance here of, well, actually a 60% chance of having a hurricane. And it doesn't take long from there to really, really ramp this thing up. We're already beginning to get signals of category 5 by late Saturday night. Now, very low potential, very low probability, but this is the kind of intensification that we're talking about, to where that is possible from some of these ensemble members. Looking at the overall probability of the actual opportunity for a major hurricane, Sunday night, by the time that we get to Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, we are looking at the Google DeepMind ensemble distribution having only a 4% chance of Melissa not being a major hurricane. That's very concerning, with 29 of the 50 members being category 4 and 15 members being category 5, with only 4 being in category 3. I mean, this intensity distribution, I'm so serious when I say my heart dropped when I saw this, because of the fact that it has been so good in its intensity forecast this year. I'm left speechless on this. I really am. And then when I opened up the ensemble breakdown just to see what we were looking at with the pressures, I don't know what to say. I really don't. That is 40 of those ensemble members are 920 millibars or lower. That's 80% of the ensemble members. Please, I can't stress this enough. Please, please, please rush all preparations to completion. I can't stress this enough. I really can't. If it, and as good as it's been this year with its intensities, There's a lot of uncertainty in the track, as we can see here. Would probably favor a little bit more of the northern solutions due to the center reformation that we saw this evening. Once we get a new model coming in with that new location associated with it, then we'll have the opportunity. I mean, we'll get that with the 0Z run. That should show the center reformation and adjustment accordingly to that. But this, I, I don't know what to say. This would be unbelievable. A complete generational storm. I, I just please get ready. Please rush all preparations to completion. Now, I just showed you things that were absolutely, kind of mind boggling and kind of scary. Now, what I'm going to show you is the 18Z HAVS A model. And I'm going to show you the wind speed. We're going to put this, I have this at the 10 meter wind speed, and all of this are in knots. After looking at the Google DeepMind, and I started running through the hurricane specific models and just trying to, take a look, I ran across this, and I felt that it was necessary to show everybody this. You remember HAVS A originally was way down off to the west. Well, now HAVS A has decided to do something completely different. So we're going to run this forward, and as you can see, it gets real close to southwestern Haiti and does not make landfall. Slides out to the west. Here we are 60 hours. Here we are at day 3 at 72 hours. We are at this point closing in on that category 5 status. Here at 74 hours, we have achieved that category 5 status. But if you notice, all those real bright colors remain over the open waters between Jamaica and Haiti. Now, as we run this forward, it's sliding a little bit more and more towards Jamaica. We've got some crazy wind speeds here at 140 knots. And then as it continues to get just a little bit closer, all of a sudden, it decides that it wants to go the other direction. And now it is pulling northward. And it slides northward just enough to where when it catches the northeastern spot, if you notice, I'm trying to do this as slow as I can. This thing gets out of the Caribbean without hitting anybody. And if you look at that in that last frame, this may try to get out without making landfall at all anywhere. And if that occurs, I'm done, folks. I'm done. Because you have to walk such a fine line to be able to pull that off, that you got to be kidding me. Now, just for comparison's sake, we're going to pull up HAVS B because we don't ever want to show just the one. There are two for a reason. And HAVS B is kind of lost, and here we go. It, focuses back in. Similar thinking out here near the southwestern tip of Haiti at that point. Really doesn't have a tremendous amount of wind speed. Really doesn't lower those pressures too awfully much. I mean, there's some there, but it doesn't really translate. At least what they're calling for here, max winds 127, 131, we're getting there. And then all of a sudden, boom, maybe indicative of a eye wall replacement cycle going from 931 at its central pressure and potentially category 5 wind speed to all of a sudden 108.8 knots and 941 millibars. So that could be very indicative of a eye wall replacement cycle, and then another one takes place again, and not necessarily allowing it to achieve this ultra, strong intensity, but then it stays out there and it actually, I mean, that would be too close to the southwestern tip of Haiti there for sure, and then ends up coming up and causing a whole bunch of havoc there into the northwestern side of Haiti as well, trying to get out of the entire basin there without hitting anything. Um, it, what Habs A showed, you got to be kidding me. I swear to you, I would, if that were to occur and it stayed just far enough off to where the central core winds don't really get the opportunity. I mean, maybe the extreme eastern tip of Cuba right there would get a scrape. But for it, like the whole inner core of that to try to get out of the basin without hitting anybody, and I hope we're that lucky. But I mean, unfortunately there is a, an unfortunate caveat to that, and that is the rain. The absolute persistent rain that would save Jamaica quite a bit. But as you could see, what it would do to Haiti, we would definitely end up with a humanitarian disaster. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They'd be much more than just your normal rainfall event or landfall. And folks, again, the database is wide open for anybody to use. As you can see, we've got all of the information here for Jamaica, all of the hazard types, whether it be flash flood, tropical storm. I mean, we could just turn on the landslide. As you can see, we don't have much there. We've got hurricane, potentially dangerous, our flood threat, flash flood threat. Let's see, what do we got? Strong wind and large waves. We don't have, I wonder if this thing is, what are we doing here? All hazard types. I don't know. Maybe, as you can see, there's plenty. Very dangerous. All hazard types here from the government. Use your official websites, folks. Ministry of here for Haiti. Please, again, folks, use your official sources. Dominican Republic. There's the 11 p.m. bulletin, an advisory that has come out. Please, I cannot stress this enough. Let's see, surf conditions, abnormal waves exceeding 9 feet and breaking waves. Next bulletin will be out at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. The Caymans, we don't have, I know we've got the small craft advisory in effect, but we don't have anything getting in for tropical information, but it'll come soon, I'm sure. And then, of course, we've got Cuba. I mean, you can get the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, folks. Please use your official sources. I cannot stress this enough. All right. I am going to go ahead. I'm not going to get into a big deep dive here tonight, folks. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet by just going through some of the ensembles and not, jump into a ton of the. What that graphic do? I'm not going to jump into, big, huge deep dive here late in the evening. I just wanted to make sure that we went over the 11 p.m. advisory, going over the key messages, making sure that we discuss the hazards affecting land and the discussion to where they said all about the uncertainty that still remains within the forecast. There is a great deal of uncertainty, but depending on what occurs, we are likely to see a catastrophic situation unfold somewhere. So everybody in the warned and watched area. Oh, excuse me. Well. Of course, I had to be ambushed by my sinuses. But anybody that is in the watch or warning areas, please make sure you rush all preparations to completion. Again, this is going to unfold to be a catastrophic situation for somebody, and our hearts go out to them. We will be live tomorrow morning. Now the dog's sneezing. Ah, good. I passed it to her. We will be live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to go over the latest overnight data and see where we're at with Tropical Storm Melissa and report the latest. And then we'll kind of make a decision on exactly what our live stream schedule will be for tomorrow. It is likely to be 3 lives tomorrow. Because we do have a little bit of afternoon engagements that we do need to get taken care of. So, all right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here for tonight. Thank you very much. Stay safe, everybody. Please, 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 to the folks in the watch and warned area, please rush your preparations to completion and stay safe, folks. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning, everybody.